What's happening, Captain? Thanks for tapping on another video. I'm Wickedy West Rex, and I'm gonna change it up a little bit on this video. But I wanted to talk to you about, a continuation of what's going on with our situation in America, specifically Minnesota, because that's where I'm from. Not from, but that's where I live. Um, Okay, so let's get into it real quick. Sorry, this is I'm new at this, so you probably couldn't tell. If you see my other videos, you're like, who the heck is this guy? What are you doing? Why are you here? Um, yeah, this is super important. I think we need to voice what we think, you know. Um, I could be a keyboard warrior if I really felt like it, but I don't. I'd rather do it, face to camera, if you will. So I've got a friend of mine, pretty close friend that okay, so just to date this, where this is today is January 25th, 2026. Um Yesterday morning, um that guy, Preddy, was shot by a border patrol agent, and my close friend that I was just referring to, he's kind of on the side of the left, and he was saying that, um, the day before that, the day before the shooting, in Minneapolis, they had the 50,000 protester march or whatever, and he was asking me where was the counter protest? Why didn't anybody else come out? And it was I guess I could give my response that I told him I could tell you. But so just for reference, it was like -10 degrees or much worse, depending on the wind chill or the actual temperature. I think it was like -10 or -20. That's that's those wannabe Canadians. That's the Minnesota life right there. Um, in the wintertime. So what I responded with was, well, the intelligent were the ones that counterstruck, and they stayed in their warm homes and talked about it online, basically. The problem with all this is, um, not enough people are talking about it. They're just kind of watching it and shaking their heads and disagreeing. And, you're not supposed to bring up politics at work, or, you know, you're not supposed to talk about politics because it pisses everybody off. Nobody agrees on anything. Well, that is a very treacherous hill to climb, with where we are right now today. Um, so like I said, I was gonna switch some stuff around. You're gonna check out some of this stuff if you don't mind. I am gonna flip it over here. I believe you can still hear me. Hopefully I don't just completely ruin this video. Um, so yeah, let's jump right into this, which is live right now. Minneapolis ice crashes from or clash in federal standoff. They're arresting people right now. Um, this is not ideal. Yeah. So, big sad. Um, I don't like that, but they're definitely still pretty upset. Um, it's kind of the wild west right now, which is bad news for um, the people opposing the federal government, because the United States of America is pretty established at this point, and I feel like um, if you're going to obstruct and impede them from doing their job, you are asking for trouble. So, to explain it, yeah, they're setting up garbage cans and junk for barricades. Like, what are you doing? It's all just a game. Like, you can't break through this plastic garbage can in our sub-zero temperatures. Kind of looks like the Leering Center's around there. Yeah. Anyways, this is just absolutely ridiculous. I'll bring it back up real quick just to show you what's going on here. Where are we at? There we go. So they're rolling up trash cans. Oh, here's a car trying to get by. Isn't that, unfortunate for the next car behind them, the next vehicle? Um, what are you people doing? And you like a a personal car could just totally run that over, or crunch it out of the way, bonk it out of the way, whatever you want to say. So I don't even get what these people are doing. They're just trying to make a scene, it seems like. They're trying to express themselves, I guess, but you can't be doing that. You can't be oh my goodness. Obstructing traffic, I guess is what you would say. Obstructing the roadway. That's a little bit unacceptable. So whatever there. Um all right, so we're not muted or anything. Let's go with this. Let's see what Amy Klobuchar
I
has to
have
say.
been with these officials. I have seen them. I think you have too, pleading for peace. And somehow 50,000 peaceful protesters in 10 below weather, I was there with them marching, when we're able to march without any problems. And then the next
Yeah.
day, a half a dozen ICE and Border Control agents couldn't handle a guy with a cell phone taking video of them and shot him. So I think it's pretty obvious what's going on here.
She thinks it's pretty obvious. Excuse me. She thinks it's pretty obvious of what's going on here. I wonder what that means. They can't handle a guy with a cell phone and a concealed weapon, right?
The next day, a half a dozen ICE and Border Control agents couldn't handle a guy with a
Just
cell phone
controlling.
taking video of them and shot him. So I think it's pretty obvious what's going on here.
Is this what they call
what needs to
rhetoric?
happen is they
Uh, is that what you call rhetoric? What are you saying, Senator? Uh, half a dozen border control agents can't handle one guy with a cell phone taking video of them. Doesn't mention anything about a concealed weapon, which he had, you know, uh, the opportunity to carry. He had the ability. He was certified or whatever that takes in Minnesota. um, it's it's ridiculous because we're talking about Renee Good and this this pretty guy. Let's see what's their names. I don't know. Yeah, Pretty and Good. Um, these people are making horrible decisions, if you want to protest, you do it peacefully, right? That's kind of the big thing right now is everybody needs to be peacefully protesting. Even Governor Walz is saying that, and he doesn't have a clue on what he should be saying. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I don't even know how long I've been recording for. 10 minutes? Alright, so it's a little bit of a longer video. I'm sorry, I'm kind of rambling and wandering in circles. I'm trying to get it all figured out here. Um, hmm. So I follow Matt Morse on YouTube, and I think he's on Rumble too. I gotta check out Rumble. I haven't really checked it out yet, but apparently it's a little more reasonable than YouTube even. Um, so that's interesting. I gotta look into that. But with that being said, Matt Morse on X is saying lots of spineless, quote unquote, conservatives getting exposed right now. So that's, he just said that 8 minutes ago, it says. And that's a good thing, right? The conservatives should be on the same team, they should be together. And they're not. And if they're gonna be siding with the left, they should be on the left. They shouldn't be conservatives. They shouldn't be Republicans in name only, the rhinos. Um, they should be Democrats. They should just go ahead and be a Democrat. If they're gonna agree with them on that side, this whole two-party system is really going down the drain. Sorry, I'm reading here. Or huh. Well, let's pull this up here. So happening now, Minnesota National Guard members have arrived at the site of the federal building and have been ordered to distribute donuts, coffee, and hot chocolate to anti-ICE protesters. They were given reflective vests so protesters don't confuse them with federal agents, which we knew about a couple days ago. So they're being nice to the anti-ICE protesters. It's cold out there, so oh yeah, Nick Sorter, dude, and he got his phone jacked or his camera or whatever when he was trying to cover the uh the protests earlier before the shooting. They were just checking out what was going on with the protests, and some Somali lady jacked his camera. Oh man. Not to mention, here we go. Here's Waxiest, the one guy. He was a kick streamer. Let's go ahead and pull this up here. It's right down below. He was a kick streamer. He got denied after his stream last night and getting jumped in his car. Got jacked up pretty good. That's not ideal. Shout out to Waxiest though. He was like undercover reporting, just kind of hanging out in the crowd of the anti-ICE protesters, rioters, really, because they were ordered to disperse. It was no longer a lawful protest, and so they were ordered to disperse. They didn't. They ran the police out of the area. And then finally, Captain Tim Walz ordered in the National Guard after like 6 hours or something of that. So, anyways, Waxiest was in there covering it all, and then somebody found, I don't know if somebody snitched on him on his stream, or if, one of these intelligent protesters, rioters, found him streaming the content and found out that Matt Morse was restreaming his content on his channel, and so he had like, at least 30,000 people watching, probably 50,000 or better. And they they ran him out, and he said, "Hey man, I'm just covering it. I don't have any problems. I'm just covering it, right?" And they said, "Okay, well, you got to get out of here because you got a following and you've got people commenting." Well, and he's saying, "I can't tell people what to say in the comments. They can say whatever they want, I'm just covering it." And so they're like, "You get out of here. You're racist. You're a fascist. You're a Nazi. Get out of here." He got out. He tried to get coverage from different angles and whatnot, and then ended up getting in his car. I think he was just warming up, or maybe he was about to leave. I actually didn't see that part live, but Matt Morris was still streaming it live. I was just taking care of my kids and living my life. Um, so he's in his car, and I think he was talking to his followers, whoever was watching, and then some guys start banging on his window, and he opens up his door, and they're like, "Get out of the car," and they like sucker punch him in the face, and he's like, "I'll get out, I'll throw hands. If we're gonna do that, we'll do that." And they went for it. They didn't want to let him out of his car. He's got his feet sticking up out of his driver's door, out of his door, defending himself. And one of the guys is streaming it, or recording it at least. There's a video of it. I saw it before I saw that all go down. And I'm like, what the heck's going on here? And then the other guy is trying to beat the heck out of him in his car. So finally he gets out and then just starts laying down, like, defending himself. And he did, from what I could tell, a good job. And then the guy holding the camera starts throwing in on him, back behind him, like, that's pussy. That is absolutely ridiculous. That's pathetic behavior. And I don't know, the narrative that came out of that. The story was, there were like rival streamers, and they were jealous of his view count compared to their view count or whatever. I don't know, but kind of seems more like a bad issue. That shouldn't have happened. So that poor kid, like, shout out to Waxiest. He's I think he's gonna be streaming on YouTube now for a little while if he doesn't get back onto Kick. Um, but yeah, he was just covering what's going on. So hopefully he's okay and he does well. And um, I don't yeah, I don't know what else to say right now at this point. This I'm obviously not scripted. I'm just kind of going for broke here. Um, I got one more thing, I guess I could uh talk about. So let's get into this real quick, which is from sorry. Um this is, as you can tell, a newsletter from Tina Smith, the other senator. You got Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith in Minnesota. They're yeah, United States senators. So this is from the 16th, around the time of Renee Good, 9 days ago, for whatever reference that's worth. Um, So I'll just read it to you. It says, last week, Minneapolis was once again thrust into the national spotlight for a horrific tragedy in our community, this time at the hands of the Federal Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. Like so many Minnesotans, I am heartbroken and angry. We all saw the video and we know in our hearts how deeply wrong and unjust this is. Um, which is absolute, and that's a lie. It was not unjust. It was absolutely warranted. Um, that shouldn't, it shouldn't have happened. No, but when these people are just dressing up to be anarchists and they're going head to head with the federal government and the the ladies and gentlemen, um, doing their job to get rid of illegal aliens, uh, you can't just obstruct federal. Uh, you can't just obstruct federal agencies. Uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Law enforcement. You can't obstruct federal law enforcement. You can't obstruct state law enforcement, local law enforcement. You can't obstruct law enforcement. They're enforcing the law. You cannot obstruct them. You should not be following them around. You should not be trying to dox them. No. Anyways, Nicole Good was a U.S. citizen, a mother, and a Twin Cities resident. My deepest sympathies go out to her family and loved ones. I can't imagine the grief they are enduring. The Trump administration is weaponizing fear and using intimidation in ways that are making our communities less safe. But Minnesotans are standing strong against this chaos. We will not cave into we will not cave in to their attempts to sow fear in our community. They have underestimated the resilience of Minnesota. A lot of people have been asking me what you can do to help our community right now. First, I'll say this: we are not hopeless, nor are we helpless. I'm tremendously proud of how we are watching out for each other and helping our neighbors under incredibly difficult situations. I'm thinking of the students around the state who have staged peaceful walkouts because they are so worried about their teachers, classmates, and friends. I'm thinking of the peaceful protesters who are handing out food and water and comfort in the cold January days. I'm thinking of the tens of thousands of people who gathered in solidarity to Powderhorn Park in Minneapolis and all around the state last weekend to peacefully show our support for Renee and our community. Um, why are they supporting that? I don't know. Um, they should not be supporting that. Moving on. So, what can you do? You're doing it. We need to keep showing that Minnesotans look out for each other and that we are strong and resilient. In our community, we stand up to bullies. Our strength is in our unity and in our peaceful demonstrations. Find solidarity with one another, continue looking out for your friends and your neighbors, and be safe as we navigate whatever comes next. Um, yeah. So you can look out for each other from a distance with your camera. That's let's switch. Speaking of cameras, why in the world are you telling Minnesotans to keep up this work and basically to keep fighting with your peaceful demonstrations, and how Renee Good was peacefully blocking traffic and honking her horn for 3 minutes or whatever, dancing in her car and at least she said she wasn't mad at the ICE agent. He seemed like a nice guy or whatever. And then she tried to run him over. Um, she turned her wheels and everything, so that was good. Um, but like Matt Morse was saying earlier today, he did his live stream, and they the left have put together this network in like Signal chats or something. I'm not really familiar with that, but it seems like some sort of Discord or whatever, like um a specific secluded, secure form of communication. And um dang it, what was that guy's name? The guy, the independent reporter that kind of broke it down, got into it, infiltrated. Um, like Cobb or something. I forget his name. So I'm sorry for that. But they're they're coordinated, and they are insurrecting, and they need to be stopped. This has to stop, and I think we're on the right track. It's just uncomfortable and a bummer. And with that, I'm gonna go because my family needs me. All right. Thanks for checking it out. I'm gonna do more videos, so until next time, thank you so much. Wickedy West Rex out. If I can find my cursor, there it is. All right. Thank you. Bye.